Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right, here we are. Another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies.
And good morning, Bill.
Here we are, another episode. I got one of those weeks, Peter. I've been on behind this computer doing videos and podcasts, and it's like I'm a regular rock star these days.
Well, you have a whole different life than me. You make money sitting at a computer. I don't too much. I make money doing other things. So the computer's like, I got to finish this and get on with it. But I think I'm starting to make a little more sitting here.
Episode number 225, Blueprints on making creative real estate offers for rookies revealed. Everybody has a dream, Peter, and for most, it's making a better life for themselves and their families. I know I talk a lot to a lot of new investors, and they are completely convinced real estate is the tool to give them that dream. Because they tell me all the time. Unfortunately, these seem to be unfortunately, there seems to be multiple approaches when entering into the real estate arena. And it gets confusing. But there's two things that are in common with all these different approaches, Peter. Two things. Only two things that are in common with all these. Yeah.
Bill, I like it when you break it down to very small numbers. I have two fingers I can put them on.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Good.
Two. Listen,
Good.
folks, two. Pull out your fingers.
1, finding and communicating to motivated sellers. 2, making offers that will get accepted so you can forward your dreams. However, most take months and often years to figure this out, to the point that the dreams die and they feel the whole real estate thing becomes out of reach for them. Today, we're going to reveal some basic laws about making offers that will increase your chances of hitting your dreams 10x faster, minimally. Or maybe more. Maybe you could do more than 10x. Okay? And it's not hard. That's the finger you should hold up, Peter. The one in the middle. No, the one in the middle. Not the thumb. Not the thumb.
Dog, that's a good one.
You got to give the finger in the middle saying, no, I'm not doing hard. I'm going to do easy. Okay?
And who wants to do hard? People think, real estate's easy. You just buy something, sell it, make a bunch of money. Yeah, sure.
You just need to hear it first, and then the sequence of how to do it second, then go out and try it. Just try it. Don't have to believe me. You don't have to do anything. Just quiz me. Go out and try it. What I'm about to tell you. Just go out and try it. Today is not some profound, deep-seated, back in my mind with the cobwebs type of theory and all that stuff. No, today we're going to make it real simple, Peter. Real easy, real simple. Just do what we're going to talk about, and it works. I know because I've got Penite coaching clients and students that do this stuff. And when they actually don't think about what I'm saying, and they just be like me and be a dumbass and just do what somebody else tells them and goes and tries it, just try it. Just test it. Prove me wrong, please.
Yeah.
And see what happens. You're going to start buying houses. And next thing you know, your confidence will soar, and you'll start doing deals.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's
Fair
true.
enough?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, before I get started, I got to do the housekeeping thing, okay? So I need to let people know that inside their description of wherever they're listening to this podcast, whether it be on their phone, on their computer, on their, on their tablet, wherever it may be, there was a description to this podcast that we are now recording in Facebook, excuse me, on YouTube, wherever you may be. In the description, there is a link that can get you up to 25 amazing free gifts. These are videos, these are audio files, these are documents, they're scripts, they're checklists, they're all this stuff that I put there waiting for you. And I have a lot of people go get this stuff, and they tell me later on when I talk to them, because we also do one-on-one consultations. I do a 45-minute free consultation. If you're on my email list, which, by the way, when you go to this page that I'm talking about that has all this free stuff on it, anytime you download anything or do anything, you're going to put your name and email address in there, and that will get you onto my email list. And my email list is where it's at, Peter. That's where all the magic is. I give away a lot of stuff. Yep. I gave away this week, if you're on my email list, I gave away, it kind of backfired on me. I was telling you about this earlier, but I did a 6-hour training, 6-hour training yesterday to a group of people in Israel, right? And I allowed, for a little while, they were able to watch this training. Now, it was not fair of me to do this to the Israel guys, but that's what I did, right? 6 hours of training on just subject to. It was probably one of the best presentations I think I've ever given. I broke down subject to so simple. And it was because if you're on my email list, you would have known all about this. If you're not on my email list and I talk to you on my email list, I mail it almost every day, usually 4 or 5 days a week anyways. I give away a lot of stuff. A lot of times in my email, for those of you that don't read it, I'm sorry. For those of you that don't open it, which I know because about 20% of you open my email, very, very often on the bottom of the email, I'll put some link in there and give something away for stupid money. Like one time I did my How to Buy Real Estate Without a Loan course. I think it's like $500. I gave it away for like $100 for like 2 days, right? So, I don't put it in the subject line. I'm not going to beg you to read my emails. If you're clever enough to go there and read them, then you'll find these gifts in there arbitrarily. I put videos in there. I put all kinds of stuff in there. But it's usually, in the email, and you have to read the email to get the stuff. So if you're not reading my emails, you're giving away the potential of getting these gifts, okay? Because that's just me being me. And you know how I am. I tend to be very generous with information. And I know that giving you information is only a portion of what happens, because getting you to implement it is a whole nother story. So I could give away stuff that's worth thousands of dollars, and you won't realize that it's worth thousands of dollars, meaning the student. And they'll put it in the back of their computer and they'll forget about it, because I'll have a consultation with them like 3 or 4 weeks later and they won't remember what I had, or they didn't understand it. So giving it away is like whatever. There's not many people that actually read my emails, actually get what I'm talking about, and actually go out and do it and actually do deals. So many people want to get started in this business. Well, get on my email list, because I help you there all the time. I talk about all kinds of stuff in there. Okay.
Well, when you're a beginner, there's 2 things you want to know, in my humble opinion here. One is, gee, what am I supposed to do? And golly, hell, what do I say?
Yeah.
What do you say? Remember, you coached me the first time somebody called me. You had to tell me everything to say. I just had no clue. It was like logical, but I didn't know that you'd just be logical. So what do I say? Well, say this. Okay. And he called, Bill, the guy called me back. What do I say now? And you tell me what to say. Right. So what I'm saying here is that you have a lot of stuff, which is what to do and what to say. And it'll get you started. It'll get you going. And then if you see that you can do things and you can say things and things will happen, you can keep going and get there.
Well, here's the thing, Peter, and I know this has nothing to do with the podcast, but here's the thing. If you listen to our podcasts, they're usually 90 to, sometimes longer. They're usually longer, an hour and 45 minutes, usually an hour and a half, right? Mm-hmm. What I give away on this podcast, I have had multiple people, not 2 or 3, multiple, they're double digits, tell me that I should charge just for my podcast. Like, $10 a month or $20 a month or $50 a month or whatever. They've had all different suggestions because of the amount of content that I give away. Now, if I'm doing this for free, imagine what it's like when you're on my email list, or even more important, imagine what it's like when you're in one of my coaching groups or you're in one of my courses.
Yeah.
Okay? So honestly, Peter, at the end of the day, and then we're going to get on with the podcast, it just comes down to this. I make my dough in real estate. Whatever I make doing this kind of stuff with the education business and all that, for a very long time, I mean, she's not with me now, but for a very long time, it just paid for Emma. It was a way for my daughter to have a salary so she can go through college and learn all this stuff. And oh yeah, by the way, because of what we taught her, you know, all of us, mostly me, but because of what we taught her, she went and got a job for 2.5 times the amount of money she was making for me. And the town of Wallingford, which is where we live, and it was because of all her experience, and she now works for the education system and has like mega benefits and retirement and has an awesome job, and she's very comfortable, and so it served its purpose. You know, the education business served its purpose. So to me, you know, it's not about the money. It was about getting her set up in life, and we did that because me, you, and her have been together, 5 years? You know what I mean?
A lot,
and all this stuff, and she just helped a lot. So,
anyways, and to your point, what did we talk about before we started the podcast? A piece of property we're selling for a pretty good penny. That's what we talked about first. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, well, your point is that the real estate is where the magic is at for me. I'm still active. All right, right now I've got 3 or 4 deals that I'm closing on or working on. You know, I will admit in the middle of COVID I slowed down. I didn't do much, but now I'm back in Connecticut. I'm doing my thing, and you know, and I don't. If you notice, I don't even advertise a lot. A lot of these deals just come to me because, and I don't even. I don't have to. I've been doing it 20 years. I have a following, you know, so that's where my attention is on that stuff.
Yep.
Anyways, let's get on with the podcast. Enough chit chat about all that.
There's a podcast?
Yeah. We're not just chatting here, Pete. You notice I don't have a cigar in my mouth, so we're not just chit chatting about something.
He's getting impatient. All right, get through the podcast so we can get a smoke in the rainy weather outside.
Just all I want people to realize is that we're on YouTube, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook. We live stream every Thursday morning, 9:30, thereabouts, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. If you jump on any one of them platforms, I have a big screen in front of me, and if you have questions, you can type them in, and I would gladly answer your questions. Or you can go to flippinghouses4rookies.com and go to the support tickets. I get multiple double digits support tickets every day. I usually have to answer them a couple times, sometimes 3 times a day, just to keep up with it. Okay? So when we start off, Peter, right? Actually, to start off on the right foot on this podcast, let's go back to some basics.
Sure.
Okay? The most basic formula for creating real estate success. And you know this because we've been doing this type of formula, if you will, for 30 years. With other businesses, not just this business, we use it. You could use this formula even in life. You know, if you want to get more cookies in the cookie jar, this will work.
Yep.
Okay. So I just adapted it here for real estate because it's what I do for every deal. And what happens with these little formulas that I make is I think many people think they're too easy. Or they think they already know it. Oh, I already know that. I already knew that. You just put it in better words. You know what I mean? Or they'll say, you know, I already do that, so I'm not worried about it. And they'll discard it. But if you put it in the right place and you do the right thing with it and you constantly repeat it in your head and you constantly use this formula, you'll do deals. So if you're one of those folks out there that is not doing enough deals, or hasn't done your first deal, then make sure you listen to this recording and you write this down, and make sure you just don't think about anything else every morning. Just think about these 4 things. And I promise you, this simplicity will make you millions over your lifetime. Okay, so please don't discard this. Please don't just think, oh, Bill articulated this because I was thinking that anyways, or, you know, it's too simple or anything like that. Okay, so please don't do that because this is truly the basics, and I don't talk about it enough to make it drilled into your head. So I think I should start doing that starting today. So first thing you need to do is you need to find a motivated seller and communicate to them. Now, why would I say that, Peter? Why would I say that?
Why would you say that? Because you have to do that? I mean, I don't know. I don't even know how to answer the question. Like, what else are you going to do?
So it's kind of stupid what I'm saying, right? Find a motivated seller and communicate to them. So
well, a lot of people go online and look for houses online, and they drive around looking at houses.
And never communicate with them.
No, you can't buy
They
the
never
house.
reach out to them. Here's the thing. What I am telling you to do is to reach. Go out there and reach out there and talk to a new seller. I promise you, I get on my knees, my hands clapped together, begging you. I can't say this with enough emphasis. If you talk to a new seller every day or a few new sellers every day, you will do a deal.
How can you not?
It's just a numbers game. It's just a number game. Here is, and I'm off on a tangent. Here is the magic formula to creative or any kind of real estate. Here is the magic formula in real estate in one sentence. And again, do not take this lightly. Right? Mm-hmm. Here it is. Make offers. That's it. Just make offers. Right? And the magic behind making an offer is, and this is the sentence I'm talking about. If you talk to, the way to make money in real estate is to talk to motivated sellers. That's how you make money in real estate. The problem is the motivated sellers might be 1 in 100, 1 in 75, 1 in 50, 1 in 25, 1 in 5, depending on your area and all that stuff. And believe me, I'm not going to get off on this tangent. In fact, I almost wrote this podcast today about this. And maybe next week, I don't know. I just didn't feel like I had enough content to take us long enough. But right now, as of now, we are in the end of October, the beginning of November 2020. We're getting ready to walk into our election. Okay?
Yep.
The United States as a whole, hear me loud and clear, the United States as a whole, now there's pockets that it's not true, but as a whole, overall, is in a peak of a seller's market. It is at the highest market we can go. You want to talk about a bubble. We are at the peak of our bubble. And the reason why is because COVID came and people stopped putting their houses on the market and it created a scarcity. Just to give you a quick example of that, before COVID, my virtual assistant would have 150, thereabouts, for sale by owners every week to talk to. That's in a 5-day period. 150, week in and week out.
Yep.
COVID hit, and within 30 days, it went to 30. That's a big drop, okay? So listen to me carefully when I talk about these things. It's not because I just invented this. These are empiric. This is empirical data, right? So
yeah, that means you can see it. You can see it for yourself. The look.
Empirical means that it's like data from the past that you saw, and you're going to use it to propel yourself into the future, right? So this is empirical data. It's like you're taking my experience, my research and development, and you're going to be able to use that if you plug it into your life, right? So what happened to my business? I'll tell you exactly what happened to my business. We stopped reaching. There wasn't enough new sellers for us to talk to. There wasn't enough new conversations to stuff that pipeline full of leads, so we didn't have a scarcity mentality, which is good for me because it's good for all my listeners, good for all my coaching clients, because it made me do things I would have never done before. Did I say that right grammatically?
Not ever done before.
Not ever done before.
You had a double negative.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, double negative. I like double negatives. So, yeah.
Hey, Bill, that ain't no way to talk.
If I say it wrong, they'll remember that part. If I say it right, they won't.
It'll stick, yeah. Pain sticks.
So what I'm telling you is that if you just, my saying is, and I'm throwing a lot of profound things right now, but my saying is, make an offer a day keeps the debt away.
Yeah.
That's what I'm known for, right? So you can't do that unless you're reaching to talk to new people. Sellers are not going to fall in your lap. You have to go find them. You have to reach out there and grab a hold of them by the throat and choke them and shake them and say, hey, here I am. Okay, so let's go back to my formula. So when I say the most basic formula is, number one, find a real estate seller and communicate to them. Now I put here find a motivated seller because you're going to communicate with them and use our scripts and pre-screen them and look for that motivated seller. So you may talk to 30 people before you find this motivated seller, but then you're going to communicate to that person. Everybody else you're going to communicate to, don't get me wrong, but you're going to communicate to the motivated guy a little bit different. You're going to go in a little bit more depth and you're going to a little bit more two-way communication with this guy. When I say communication, Peter, I don't mean just talking to someone. Like right now, we could just communicate. Let's communicate right now. Say, hey, Peter, how's the weather in Newington?
It's raining, Bill. How are you? Well, how's yours?
The thing is they're talking about snow here today, so I'm a little bit worried about the weather.
Tomorrow, yeah. Yuck.
So that's two-way communication. Now, obviously, I want to know what the weather is, but what point was that conversation? What good was it? We're not really in communication. We're just talking.
Yeah, that's
right?
like, hey, how you doing? What's up?
Yeah.
Hey, how you? Good.
Or
how
something
you?
like this. So let's do a different communication.
Yeah.
Pete, what did you think of that contract that our realtor sent to us on the house for sale yesterday for $190,000?
I think, they started at $195, but there was a $10,000 concession at sale, at closing. Had to give them $10,000 back. Then I'm thinking, then what else are they going to want later? It's going to whittle away if they start like that. I don't like that.
Totally correct. I agree with you. So what do you think we should do?
Just come up with a new number.
Yeah.
Much closer to what we're asking for.
See how that communication was a lot different than, hey, what's the weather like? It's because we actually communicated. We exchanged mental image pictures of what we're thinking to head towards a goal.
Yeah,
right?
It was substantive. It had some aim in mind, not just chit-chat, just to pass the time. How are you? It's aiming somewhere.
So asking questions and sharing ideas and being with one another, talking about something we're both interested in and something that we both like and something that's just real to us.
Yeah.
Means a lot. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's what I mean by communicating. And I know I'm spending way too much time on this because we've been on here already 21 minutes and I've only gotten 2 paragraphs on my, but this is important. So step number 1, find a motivated real estate seller and communicate to them. This is important. Okay. Mm-hmm. Then the second step is, which do not think that this is too simple, tell them what you do. When you call them and you're communicating with them and you say, hey, do you have a house for sale? Yeah. Well, you say, guess what? I buy houses. That helps them know that you're a prospect for them, not a suspect, because they're doing the same thing subconsciously or consciously you're doing. You call it for sale by owner, most of them get 9,000 phone calls from a realtor. They want to list the property. They don't say to the seller, I buy houses. I buy houses. Who buys houses, Peter?
We buy the houses.
Okay,
we're not agents.
That's not what I'm saying.
Houses.
It's not what I'm saying. When I say
what?
I buy houses, who buys that house from the seller? Me, personally.
Yeah.
Right? Don't
You're
say
not gonna
we,
list it.
because that means you're a company. You say I buy houses, so they know they're dealing with you. You're the person, and if they got a chance of selling this house, you're it. Yeah. You just unfiltered or unweeded yourself out from all the other. Because if a realtor says that, I list houses. What does that mean? I go find a buyer. So one of my favorite sayings is, especially when I talk about realtors, is I don't understand. The realtor's going to go find you a buyer, and I'm a buyer standing right in front of you. Why can't we put a deal together?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right? You've heard me say that a bunch of times. Right?
I could have said that for almost verbatim.
Yeah.
I almost jumped in. Sure. Why are you looking for a buyer? I am a buyer. I'm here.
I'm standing right here. So, there
Bill,
you go. We're going to cover this in a couple minutes.
I was at the tax office in town trying to chase that house down that somebody abandoned, and there's a tax lien for like $8,000. I said to the tax lien, I'm sitting at her desk, I pulled out my wallet and go, come on, I'll buy the house right now. I'll put on my card. I'll buy it. Come on.
Yeah.
She laughed and said, I'm sorry I can't, but she emailed me yesterday. She's on it. She's almost got it. But, we're the buyer.
Yep.
I am the buyer.
I am the buyer. So, number 1, find a motivated seller and find find a motivated real estate seller and communicate to them. Number one. Number two, tell them you buy houses. Okay. Number three, and this gets missed. Oh my God, Peter, I can't tell you. If I had $5 for every time I've asked a coaching client, not even regular clients, just my coaching client, which is a small group of people,
who should know better.
Did you do this? I swear to you on a Bible that I would never, ever, ever, never, never, ever, ever, never, ever, ever, for the rest of my life, ever have to buy a cigar. I would have enough money to supply me cigars for the rest of my life. Because
that's a lot of money.
They forget. They forget. And here it is, number three. Then ask him or her, meaning the seller, what would have to happen for me to buy your house today?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So you're going to find a motivated seller, a motivated real estate seller, communicate to them. Number two, say, I buy houses. Number three, say, what would have to happen for me to buy your house today? Right?
Yeah.
Then number four, produce and present one of the 7 deal strategies that I teach you all day long. So if they say, well, give me full asking price. Okay, no problem. Here's how it works. And you tell them about a slot deal.
Yep.
If they say, give me 80% on the value, you say, okay, here's how it works.
Yep.
If they say, give me $5,000 over the asking price, no problem. Here's how it works. And you give them a slot deal or a lease option deal or a subject to deal or a wholesale deal or whatever they say, you have an answer, which is how my life started, which is the reason why those 7 deal structures were created to begin with, because I found myself doing this exact formula in every single house with every single seller. And when I asked them, what would have to happen for me to buy your house today? And they would give me an answer, and I would go, I didn't have an answer.
Yeah. Well, people go into the house thinking, I want to buy it this way. I'm glad you want to buy it that way. But guess what? You're not selling it. The other guy is. What does he want? I heard somebody on a call the other day says, if I only make one type of offer, what if that doesn't fit the guy? Now what do I do? I'm missing opportunities.
That's why I did my 7 deals, because I was in hundreds of houses, and because where did I start, Peter? I started with subject to.
Yeah.
I did it 18 months. It took me 18 months to find my first deal, which, by the way, I made $68,000 on. Okay. Yeah. I bought it subject to, and I got really good at it. Because usually, whatever first deal you do is what you get really good at because you're comfortable with it. So I accumulated, I'm guessing, I know it's at least $2.5 million in the next 18 months. I think it's more like $3 million, but $2.5 million. I acquired $2.5 million worth of real estate over 18 months just doing subject to. Do you know how many people I had to talk to before I could find subject to buyers? Sellers.
Yeah.
Right? Imagine if I knew I could do a slot deal and I could do a lease option deal and I could do owner finance. I had no clue about any of that stuff when I first started. All I did was subject to, and I got tired of being in the houses. And I would talk to one of the acquisition managers I had. His name was Chin. He was a really good guy. Chin, Chin. He was a really good guy. And we used to get in the car and he'd be like, "Oh man, we got to find another way to do this." And we started talking. And after a while, all these years later, I wish I had somebody telling me what I'm telling my listeners right now, because I wouldn't have had $2.5 million. I would have had 5, 6, 7 million.
Sure.
Easily.
Easily. It's like having a restaurant. You go in there and you look at the menu and it says hot dogs.
Yeah.
What if you're not in the mood for a hot dog? You like hot dogs. My wife likes hot dogs. Not every day, though. You walk out, and you see some menus is ridiculous. It has too much stuff on it, but that's their problem. But don't you want to have variety and possibilities? Right. Something to fit every, it's like a toolbox. What if you walk in with a screwdriver? Good luck.
Right. Exactly. All right, so let's do an example, Peter, okay?
Sure.
So, seller is a for sale by owner. We call it a FSBO. He is or she is motivated to sell. Every seller is motivated to sell. Okay? Yeah. Now listen to what I'm going to tell you, because this is a very, very simple Simple concept, but when you get it, it opens the door to a lot of handlings. Okay? Only trick is to see if that seller can match your strategy. So every seller, every seller is motivated. They're not suspects. What makes them a suspect is whether or not they can match your way to purchase.
Right.
So every seller wants, they're asking $200,000, they want cash in the next 30 days because that's what the realtor system, the mafia system as I call it. Go to episode 90 and you can listen to that. That's one of the best episodes I think we ever did. How to, dealing with the real estate mafia. It's a phenomenal episode.
Excuse me.
We should do that again. We should really do a new version of that.
Can you come up with another word besides mafia?
No. Right?
Come on, I'm Italian.
Yeah. So here's the deal. So they want $200,000 and they've been taught they can get it in the next 30 or 45 days. So they're motivated to do that. They become a suspect to you because you can't pay full asking price and still make money. Or could you? Right? So you could pay full asking price if they give you seller financing or if they want to do a slot deal. For God's sake, you could do an option deal and still make money. Right? So what makes them a suspect to you is if they're not willing to take some terms, like take money monthly until they can get paid off. That makes them a suspect for you because they're not willing to do that. Or they're not they're asking $20,000 over their price and they just want all cash. So they're motivated to get that. But they're a suspect to you because you can't do that and still be profitable. Why would you? An end user could do that though. An end user could be their person. That they would be a prospect for them.
Yeah. Because they're going to live in it. They're not trying to make a profit. They just want to have a place to live.
So everybody is motivated. Every seller is motivated. So what you're doing is you're pre-screening them to see if they match our system, our programs, our strategies. And if they do, they become a prospect. If not, they become a suspect to us. They're not a suspect to everybody, just to us. Okay, so your job is to go through this process, right, and figure out if there's somebody you can do business with, which is why we ask right away, what would have to happen for us to buy your house today, or for me to buy your house today? You're having them give you their offer. Why are you studying all my crap and everybody else's crap and buying all these courses and spending all these thousands of dollars to try to learn how to make offers when all you have to do is ask this question, what would have to happen for me to buy your house today? And let the seller just give you an offer. And then take one of my 7 strategies and say to them, I could do that. Here's how it works. Why do you spend all this money and all this time studying and learning? And I don't get it, Peter. There's something wrong with this. It's because, and I'll tell you the reason why people do that.
What do you think?
I don't think, I know. They have not been in a house face-to-face with a seller to see how it actually works.
Yeah.
And they're inventing problems they think the seller is going to say when really the seller really isn't going to say that, but it's something they would do if they were in a position. But see, they're dangerous. What is that saying? Something about they get a little bit of dangerous? They get enough data to be dangerous. Yeah, a little bit of knowledge. So that's these people. They get a little bit of knowledge to be dangerous because they think everybody's going to think like them, and they don't understand that there's a whole big bad world out there, and everybody has their own opinion, and it may not be like theirs.
Yeah, you do a lot of book learning, and you're working out like the formulas of how the numbers are going to work and all that, but what does that matter if you don't see what the person on the other end needs?
Right.
It doesn't fit. You know, like you're in the back of the restaurant making all these meals, and you go out to the front. The guy doesn't want anything you're cooking that day.
Right.
You know, you got to ask customers, what do you want?
So I have a new analogy.
Yeah.
That hit me, 5 days ago. Don't ask me how this hit me, but it did. So you ready for this? Here's how I'm going to explain our entire system. Mm-hmm. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
It's the bus stop method.
The bus stop. Okay.
I kid you not. I'm going to call it from now on. Today's is a new thing. So if you're listening to me right now or watching me right now, you will hear a lot of this. It's the bus stop method.
So you're on the bus. You're looking for your
No, Peter. Stop. So you're doing what I'm telling all my students not to do. You're thinking.
I'm guessing where you're going with this.
You already think you know it. So
no, I'm guessing.
You know.
I'm thinking no.
Okay?
I have no idea
so
where you're going.
Let me ask you a question. When somebody goes to a bus stop, what do they want?
They want a bus.
So all you got to do is you got to drive your bus to the bus stop, open the door, and they get on, right?
Well, not necessarily. There's different streets on the bus where they're going. Right?
Okay.
Right?
You knucklehead.
No, I'm serious. I thought that's where you're going with this.
When somebody goes to a bus stop,
yeah,
they want to get on a bus. I'm assuming they know which bus and all that. I'm not breaking it down. So
they got to go that way.
The point that I'm making is in your marketing, you got to drive the bus to where the people are waiting for you. So in your marketing, you got to drive your bus to where the people are waiting. It's called the bus stop method. I'm the inventor of that. I'm the new person that's going to say that.
Okay.
So if you have money and you want to do rehabs, then drive your bus to the bus stop where those people are selling. If you have no money, then don't go to that bus stop. Go to a different bus stop where they're willing to do rent to own. Right? All you got to do is find out what bus stop your seller's standing at and then drive your bus there. Because they'll get on. If they're standing at the bus stop and they're waiting for a bus and you drive up and it's going to the right place like you say, then they'll get on the bus.
So the rehab guys are standing at the bus stop next to Home Depot. I don't know where the other guys are standing, though, but I'm sure the other ones are at Home Depot. Hammers,
so I'm gonna have to write something
sheetrock,
about that now.
paint.
Here we go. This is a whole article that we could put on the internet. Okay. All right. So let's go. Let's get back to the podcast because we're totally screwed right now. I'm way over what we're supposed to. We're gonna have to
tune in next week for the continuation.
Yeah. So sellers are for sale by owner. You know he's motivated to sell. Only trick now is to see if you can match up what you want to do and what they want to do. You come up to an agreement. And which, by the way, sometimes they don't even know what you can do and you have to explain it to them and then they'll be willing to do it because they never even heard of this stuff.
Right. Yeah, I had a question before. I didn't want to jump in too early, but since you're on the subject, number 2, let them know I buy houses. But we know that they have these preconceived notions. Oh, you want to buy my house cheap, or you're a realtor, all those things. So at what point do you amplify on the various ways? How do you fit that in so they don't have the wrong ideas? Oh, no, I don't want to talk to you. You're an investor. Want cheap.
I just told you that. I just did a whole 10 minutes of that. So if you say to them, what would have to happen for me to buy your house today? And they say, well, I want this. And you say, okay, here's how it works. And they say, I don't want to do that. Okay, well, then we could do this. And you explain the 7 offers.
Okay. All right.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So you contact the seller and tell them you buy houses and you wanted to chat. Okay? Maybe build some rapport. And I do this by talking about, in the prospect suspect form, I build rapport. I say, first thing I do is I ask, is the house for sale? Whose name is on the deed, so I have the right person. And then I'll say, do you have a few minutes to chat? Yeah, well, I've already done that. And I'll say to them, okay. I build rapport by not chit-chatting. I build rapport by talking about their problem and their house. So I'll say, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, how many square feet, how big is the lot, does it have a garage, what kind of heat does it have, is it oil, gas? And I ask, 8 or 10 questions about the house. That's building rapport. Not talking about how many kittens they got. Or not telling them your story about how you had a house in that neighborhood one time when you were alive. I mean, when your grandmother was alive and you used to go play in the swing sets in the backyard. That to me isn't rapport building. Okay. So maybe build some rapport by talking about the house and maybe why they're selling. Okay. As soon as you feel it's fit, you then tell them you buy houses, but you don't think they need you. Only because the house sounds like it's very marketable. So ask them, why don't you just list it with a realtor? You don't need me. Why are you considering talking to me?
Yep.
This brings out their hidden pain, like immediately. Or the reason why they're selling.
That's such an incredible question. You think, why would you ever ask that? Because it's already true. They don't want a realtor, so why not ask them why? And ask them that way. And they'll tell you. That's a crazy, crazy question.
Now you've opened up a can of worms and built rapport by talking about them. And then you would ask, what would have to happen for me to buy your house today?
Yep.
Now, here's the thing I don't understand, Pete.
Mm-hmm.
Why so many people or so many students get stuck on learning how to make offers. I've already said this.
Yeah.
If they ask this question, if the students ask this question,
Mm-hmm.
here's what you could do. Let's say it's your first time doing this, because this is about rookies, this podcast. Right?
Sure.
Because we've been doing for the last 23 or 24 episodes, we've been profound not talking to rookies. We've been talking to guys that are a little bit further up than the rookies.
Mm-hmm.
So this is for rookies, because I'm
Okay.
trying to get back to our roots here. Okay. Here's the thing. You ready?
Yeah.
Well, let's just role play it.
Sure.
Peter, what would have to happen for me to buy your house today?
Well, I need to get it sold in 2 months, but I'd like a decent price on it. I'd love to get my full price, and I don't have a lot of time to do it. How would you help me with that?
So you write down exactly what Peter just said on a piece of paper. Verbatim. Write down what he says. Or quiz him a little bit. I might ask a couple questions so I narrow it down. Mm-hmm. Right? Let's do that part. Let's go back to role playing.
Right.
So why do you need to sell quickly?
I have to move. My wife has a new job. It's like an amazing opportunity in New Jersey. It's so much money, and we just got to go. But her job starts next week, and we don't. She has to go, and I don't want to be away for months and months and months with the kids.
Peter is not making this up. These are what real people
No.
say.
That my student
Okay.
had that happen.
So listen
they just
to
bought
me.
a new house
Why-
and they had to move.
Why do you have to go study and get a Yale education to ask those two questions? I mean, I asked him what would have to happen. He told me blah 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 blah, and my next question is why is it so urgent?
Yeah.
And he told me the whole thing right there. If you recorded yourself like I'm telling you to do, and then you went home and you wrote down what he said verbatim, here's what you do. Send me a frickin' support ticket, exactly what they said, and I will help you to some degree. I mean, I'm not going to coach you for free, but I can at least point you in the right direction, like go watch the subject to video and do that. Mm-hmm. Or go watch the lease option video and do that. Or do this one first and that one second, this one third.
Mm-hmm.
And then so now let's go back to role play. So you just said what you said, right? And I'm a student. I say to them, okay, you know what, Pete?
Mm-hmm.
My partner, or my mentor, whichever one you say, and I buy a lot of houses, and I think we can help you with that. But you know what? I'm kind of new, and I need to talk to him. He's bought hundreds of houses. And I need to talk to him. If you give me a day or so, I can come back and give you a couple offers. Can you wait for me for a day or so? And I'll come back and give you some offers?
Sure.
I mean, I'm really interested because I think we can really help you.
Well, come back soon. If somebody comes tomorrow or tonight with a big bag of cash, I'm taking it. But just
So
come back when
can
you
we
can.
make an agreement right now that if that happens, you at least let me know and give me a chance to give you an offer before you accept the other one?
Sure. In case yours
Because
is better.
I think I can give you an offer that would really help you. You want to know why? You want to know
Why?
why? How
Why?
soon do you got to leave?
Well, I have some leeway, but my wife's going to be down there. I don't want to be up here that long. So, I mean, I want to go, and 30 days would be fabulous. 2 months, it's going to stretch it for me.
Once we come up with a deal, I can close in a week or two.
And you can close in a week or two?
Yeah. Once we come up with a deal.
How do you do that?
That's what I need to talk to my partner about, and that's what my offer is going to do for you.
All right. Well, get back to me as soon as you can then. That sounds interesting.
Can anybody do this, Peter?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Why is it so difficult?
Okay, that's a totally rookie question. Now, for somebody who spent a little time and tried to learn your 7 offers, should the student have like 2 or 3 ideas of offers that might work, considering the numbers that he might have on the phone, or just some preliminary data? Is it okay to have, maybe I can do this, maybe I can do that, just to have some ballpark?
For those people that feel like they're ready to do that, yes.
Yeah, and if it doesn't work, then you can still do what you
Yep.
just said. Well, let me go home, sharpen my pencil, let me see if I can come up with another one. But at least they don't look completely rookie. If they have an idea, why not pitch it?
Right.
One of the offers.
So if they ask the question, just write down the answer, exactly what they said, and send it to seller, and then send me a support ticket. Like I said, I will not coach you because you have to pay for that. It's not fair to my other coaching clients if I coach you for free and not them. Okay? I'll send you back some sort of a support ticket, like go watch this video, go listen to this podcast, go do this, or go do that, and I'll point you in the right direction of how you should give them that offer.
Yeah, the data that you would need to do that, which will help you next time, etc.
All right, so now to your point, if you're not green, you would continue like this.
Okay.
Okay? So you want full asking price, correct, Peter?
Yeah, or as close as I can get to that, because I know I'm not using a realtor, so, considering a little bit off for the realtor, but something close, because I paid a lot for this house.
So what do you think the closing costs would be?
Well, it's at least 5% for the realtor and a few hundred for the attorney. Maybe 8, 10, 12 grand.
12 grand, okay, good. So how much were you planning on walking away with?
Well, with what I got in, I think I could get out of here with like 30,000.
Okay, good. Now, end of role play. Here's what we just did. This is miraculous. Listen to what I just told you. So if he's selling a house for $200,000, right? So now you're in spades. You're in total spades right now, because from this point on, you stop talking to the seller about price.
Okay.
Okay? You switch to how much you're going to give him or her on what they owe. Right? Now, you drop the... Well, before I get into that, here's the thing. If I know you're asking $200,000, and you say, just for easy math, it's going to cost you 10 grand to sell, and you want to make 30 grand, that means you got a $40,000 profit. You owe the house. You owe about 160 grand. I figured that out just by doing simple math, by asking those couple questions.
You did that so fast, I almost didn't see it coming. I've heard you do a lot of stuff, but that happened so fast. It wasn't like even sneaky or like, what do you need to know that for? It's just, well, what do you think the closing costs are going to be?
Right.
That was...
And then how much you think you're going to walk away with?
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to walk away with 30 grand, and it's going to be 10 grand for closing costs. Okay, so he probably owes somewhere like 150 or 160.
Right.
Okay, so now you drop the atom bomb. Okay, what you're going to do is you're going to ask this question. You ready? We're going to role play again.
Go ahead.
Pete, what are you going to do with the money? The 30 grand. I mean, why are you selling?
I don't need the money. It's just mine. I mean, we already got another house for my wife. The company's taking care of that down there. It's just my money that I should pull out of the house. Okay,
good. So end of role play. Depending on that answer is what guides you on which presentation to make. So that he's telling me he doesn't need the money. So now that means I could pay him. I can write a note, no interest, no payments, and pay him when I sell the house. Or I can make arrangements with him if I have enough cash flow to pay him monthly.
Yep.
He just told me that. This is not hard. I mean,
no, people either need the money right away for something. I mean, I've had everything from my husband needs cancer surgery and the insurance won't cover it. I need $30,000. I swear to God that happened. And the other one's like, no, I don't need the money. It's an extra house. I don't really need it. I just want it.
Okay, so here's some examples. What you just said, I need the money. I'm just tired of being a landlord. In this case, you need the money because you need to move, right? here's the thing. If he or she's asking 200 grand, and I just told you this, and he expects a check for 190,000, well, we'll just use your example instead of what I wrote down here, and they want $30,000, right?
Uh-huh.
So we can expect that you owe 150 or 160 grand. They're always going to be a little bit higher because they want a cushion to make sure they're going to get what they owe, right? So they'll get their money, right? So the conversation led me into this belief, right?
Yeah.
So I could simply say to him, like I said, I can write a note, a second position note, right? So it could go something like this. I could say, Pete, would you be willing to let me take your mortgage payments over, and then give you the 30 grand when I sell the house?
And then I would get 190.
I'll give you the 200.
You give me the 200?
Yeah. If you let me do that.
Sure.
See? So that was a subject to offer I just made.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm telling you something against what I normally say, because normally I want you to be at 80% so you have equity. I'm just giving you an example of words. I mean, it's not really the right offer, because I would, it depends, because we're role playing, so I'm not like into the conversation, right? So see how this conversational type talk just gets you all the data?
Yeah, it's almost like a computer. Computers function on 0 and 1. Almost anything you run across has question 1 with answer 1 or 2. Like,
right.
Do you need the money right now, or can you wait? Does he need his money right now, or can he wait? So then that opens the door to, well, could you do this or that? So it's a matter of just trying to pay attention, don't get nervous, just listen and see where does that take you. And just when we go see a house, you almost don't want to see what I have on the sheet of the house till we're actually there, because you don't want to have preconceived notions. You just want to see where the process takes you and what fits the situation in front of you, not what some book says.
Right.
Right?
So here is the secret behind that. I don't think I've ever told you this.
Don't hold on to me, mister.
Well, sometimes I don't realize it till later. So here's the secret of what I just told you. And this is where most rookies fall apart. I believe in my process so much that I don't let anything interfere with it. And if I don't buy a house, that means I didn't apply my process correctly. I missed something. And instead of making an example, making an excuse, not an example, an excuse of the seller wasn't motivated, I think to myself, what part of the process did I not deliver correctly? And it's always me. It's never the seller. It's not the environment. It's not the situation. I'm going to give you a classic example. And I'm going to fess up to you in public, because I've not told you this either. Okay? That condo we bought, subject to, in the high rise.
Oh, yeah.
On East River, whatever it was.
Yeah.
In East Hartford.
Yeah.
We didn't buy that condo, and I just realized this 4 or 5 days ago. We didn't buy that condo because I had a reservation, and I was not comfortable with paying $986 a month for HOA fees and exactly how we're going to make money.
Yeah.
That's why we didn't buy that condo, because I was not tenacious enough to go after that deal, because I had a reservation, or I had a concern or a thought. How am I going to do that? So if we have students that are going out and making offers and they have a reservation, or they have some concern, or they're not sure, that cuts across everything. They will not be tenacious enough to get the deal.
Yep.
They will not. They'll stop short.
Well, yeah, it's like a chain. It's like, what's the saying? Like, one weak link and the chain breaks. So you're in a process of steps. Any one step goes. Like dating a girl, you stick your foot in your mouth, you're out. You have to keep things moving forward. And same thing for me in that process. It was, I had some reservations too. I would have called you and bugged you about it, but and I saw that happening. But we didn't have to have that. We had other things going. It was a little strange,
Yeah, it was different.
It was a little tricky.
So I'd like to throw another curveball here.
Yeah.
I'm going to teach everybody listening right now how to be a power negotiator. Power negotiator. I'm not talking about a negotiator. I'm talking about the elite of elite when it comes to negotiation.
You mean jumped ahead of the class?
Yep.
Wow. Lay it on
Ready?
us, Bill.
Here you go. The person that wants it the least has the most power. That's all you need to know about negotiating. The person that wants it the least has the most power. You take all neediness out of it.
Yeah, because you can control how much you need or don't need.
So when you're with me, Peter, and I'm in a house, am I the best reluctant buyer ever?
Bill, we were at a house in Newington, and within 3 minutes, you leaned up against the wall in the empty living room of the house that was vacant, that the guy had kept renting and thinking, I'm too old to keep renting this. Maybe I should sell it. Within 3 minutes, you looked at the guy and said, I don't think I'm your guy. And I almost fell over, like, wait a minute, what? But then, the guy goes, why not? Well, nah. And then, well, we could do this, we could do that. And we got back into it, but you pulled back. It's like when the girl just turns around and walks away from the boy. The boy starts trying to, give me some flowers, give me some candy, quick, I got to get this girl. Right. Yeah, that was cool.
So here's another statement. Boy, I got a lot of profound things today. Here's another statement. The more you chase your seller, the faster they run. Mm-hmm. The more you chase your seller, the faster they run. So when you have neediness or you have that concern and you're not tenacious enough, when I mean tenacious enough, I'm not talking about tenacious with the seller. I'm not talking about badgering the seller. I'm talking about tenacious in doing the process correctly.
That's in your own mind. I think it's tenacious with yourself.
Yes. To make sure that if the deal doesn't happen, you introspect and say, what did I do wrong? You go there first. So you don't look outside, you look at yourself first.
Yeah, I mean, you can't control the world all the time, but you can always control yourself or find something to do. Now, Bill, did you figure out what to do with that condo fee?
No, I actually need to get his phone number. I need to call him just to end the cycle in my head. I need to call him and talk to him. So when we're done, you got to give me his phone number.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to call him. So here's the thing, Peter.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. It's not always the question that does the trick. Although I talk about that a lot, like ask questions.
Yeah.
It's the timing of the question.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm saying in the beginning of this podcast, it's like you ask, step 3 is ask what would have to happen for me to buy your house. But when I do the script, I asked several questions first. Like I asked, you build a little bit of rapport, right? You let them know you buy houses, right? Then,
by the way, Bill, are you using the FSBO script?
No, this is just, you could do that, but this is just a lot looser than that.
Yeah, but
I'm trying to make it so that students don't have to go study the FSBO script. I'm kind of giving you like a corollary type of just a chit chat type of thing. Okay. And because it's recorded, people can go back and write these questions and kind of make their own script.
All right.
Okay. So then, I asked them, I told them I was being a reluctant buyer. I'm not, Peter, I'm afraid you interrupted the flow there. So I'm going to do it again. So you start out by saying, you contact the seller and say, do you have a house for sale? What name is on the deed? And then you say, I buy houses. You let them know you're the buyer. And then, you kind of chit chat, build a little bit of rapport. How many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, yada, 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 right? And then you tell them, I'm not your buyer, or why are you selling this house? Why don't you just list it with a realtor? And then you go on and you say, you find out what the hidden pain is by doing all that, and then you ask the question, what would have to happen for me to buy your house, right? Mm-hmm. So the timing of that question is more important than asking the question.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to say. So the magic of the questions is in the conversation, right? You ask at the right time. Maybe I'm not even saying this word correctly.
No. I'm totally getting that.
Corollary. What does that mean? That means in native tongue, right?
No. Colloquial.
That's it. Colloquial.
Yeah.
So what you have to do is you have to, when you're in somebody's house, you have to deal with, colloquial means their native tongue or the way they speak. So mirroring the seller a bit, not mimicking, but mirroring them is important, because you're an investor and you studied all this stuff, and they don't know what a lease option is. So you have to size up what their acceptance level is on this information and deliver it to them in a way that they can understand it. Okay, so that's important. But if you notice that we're not getting in all that technical stuff, we're just having a conversation with them, and they're giving us information without even knowing they're giving us information, right?
So are you saying that you shouldn't rush the question either? I mean, should you ask it when you feel it's the right time?
That's right. That's right.
Don't force it in, like the third sentence, but when it feels appropriate, then ask. Would that be realistic?
Yeah. So here's the thing, Pete. Too often investors will talk about theory and hypnosis and hypo theories and all this, all this theory stuff and, hypnosis and, all these things, making an effort to impress the seller about how much they know, which in fact, it scares the seller away. They don't know that. In the beginning, they think they need to act professional.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to tell you right now the best way, especially like when we do marketing, especially the Yellow Letter campaigns, the best thing you could do is make it look like you're not a company and you're not professional. That's the best thing you could do, is make it look like it's just you buying a house and not have a big conglomeration behind you with a bunch of people and secretaries and professional people and lawyers. You don't want that. It's just me and you doing this deal, Pete. Or you and I is the right way to say it. It's just you and I doing this deal, and I'm buying this house. And then as you get to know them, you say, okay, I'm going to have one of my guys call you, is what I say. I don't say team. I'm going to have one of my guys call you.
Yeah.
I got this person that does this for me. I'm going to have them call you because they're a lot better at it than I am. Right? But you want to keep it on that personal note because that's what they want.
Well, it's less intimidating.
Right. And like I said earlier, you and I both know the more you chase your seller, the faster they run.
Yep.
So you want to keep it on a personal level, right? So if you want to impress the seller, tell them things that you've done or what you want to do, right? Hell, tell them it's your first time and you would be honored. We talked about this last week with Desiree. She told them that it was her first time and she had a mentor and she was out pretty much practicing.
Yeah.
I mean, she told them. And they were very appreciative of that and actually helped her. Right? So tell them it's your first time. You'd be honored. So here's what I would do if I was brand new. And I wish sometimes, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But when I'm talking to sellers, I wish I was new sometimes so I can get away with some of this stuff and not have to do some things that I have to do, right? Because I know better, right? So here's the thing. You tell the seller, this is my first time, and I'd be honored if you could help me to do this deal with you. I have a lot of resources, and I have a lot of ways that I can help you, but I would appreciate it if you helped me figure all this out. You know how huge that is? Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I think people rather help somebody than be helped.
Right.
Just in general.
But the point is it takes the onus off of you having to know everything and having all the answers. You had a big aha moment. I remember some time back when I told you, if you don't know something, just say, I've never encountered that before. I got to go talk to someone and figure it out. I'll get back to you tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm actually trained that way as an educator. If you don't know an answer, you don't make up stuff for students.
Right.
You go, I'll find out. You pull out some references, you ask questions, you find it.
Right.
And they appreciate it because they know you're not just bullying them.
Okay, Peter, so we got all that?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So before I finish off here, I'd like to talk about something that doesn't get discussed enough with us.
Yeah.
Okay? So the environment or what the surroundings of a deal and your offer really matters a lot.
And what's that?
Well, if somebody's moving in a month, that's the surroundings of the deal, right?
Oh, okay. Like the picture, or like what's going on.
Yeah. So you're immersing yourself into this guy's life or this girl's life, right?
Yeah.
So that environment matters a lot.
I got you. I wasn't sure where you're going. So like their personal circumstances, why they're moving, the details, the problems.
So what happens is too many of my students and coaching clients take this personally. You have to realize it's the other person's life or their surroundings, not yours. Mm-hmm. Right? Which is why I created a long time ago the 5 laws of making an offer. So that you could distinguish how this environment was set up and actually settle in your mind whether you did it right or wrong. Mm-hmm. Because remember I was saying before, you have to be tenacious on the process. Well, you have to have some sort of a testing tool to see if you did it right or wrong.
Oh.
Right? In your own mind. So these 5 laws will tell you that.
Oh. I didn't know that. That's how that connect. The 5 laws connect. We haven't talked about it in a while, but I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I always remember 2 or 3 of them. I never remember for all 5. I got to refresh my memory.
So that's why I want to talk about these laws, right? These offers, laws, the 5 laws of an offer. So number one, never compromise. You're looking for properties that meet your criteria and ways you can do deals, and motivated sellers that meet your terms. Yeah. So if you have no money, you have no credit, and you're one of those people that are just starting out, then you're just going to look for lease options. Mm-hmm. If you're a guy that's got $1 million in the bank and you want to, invest your money, then your criteria is going to be, I want rehabs. Right? If you're looking to do 1 deal a year and build a portfolio, maybe you're the guy that is going to look for free and clear houses. Mm-hmm. Right? So never compromise. You're looking for properties that meet your criteria and ways that you can do the deal. It's not on doing deals. It's the way that you are going to build your portfolio or get your cash or the purpose of you doing real estate.
Yep.
You're going to look for motivated sellers that will meet those terms. And the beginning, don't be like me where you're a catch-all and you do every deal every time you talk to somebody. No, in the beginning, just weed through the tons of people you're going to talk to until you find someone that matches what you're willing to do. Mm-hmm. Don't compromise. Yep. Then do that deal and a couple deals like that, and then you'll be ready to learn another strategy, and then another strategy. And sooner or later, you'll be like us, and you'll be able to do all of them like lickety-split. But you don't eat an elephant with one bite. You eat it one bite at a time.
Yeah.
So just match your criteria to what your life situation is, what your environment is, and then go find other people that have similar environments like you and that are willing to let you do what you need to do. And just weed through a lot of people. Mm-hmm. Okay? Does that make sense?
No, absolutely. You have to do something that you're capable of and comfortable with, so you might have to communicate a little more, but you'll find them.
So here's the deal. I agree with what you said, but I want to embellish on that because I wasn't going to talk about this, but you just brought it up. When you do it this way, you'll be more relaxed, you'll have more confidence, and you will talk to that person personally because you'll have reality on what they're going through because you yourself are in that space. If you have no money and no credit and you're talking to somebody that doesn't have money and doesn't have credit and they need to sell their house, you're going to do a better job. It's going to be more personal to you.
That's amazing because you match the person, but you also have a solution for them, and you can empathize with them. That's amazing.
You can empathize with them. You don't compromise. But you're going to have to go through 50 or 100 or 10 or whatever many leads till you find that. But here's the point. When you're doing deals and you're trying to do deals and you're talking to a lot of people and you start thinking after a month, oh my God, I must be doing something wrong. Think about these 5 laws. Maybe you're just not compromising. Or maybe you need to change what you're going to compromise and make a difference. Maybe you haven't clarified what you want and you're not compromising because you don't know what you're compromising to.
You don't even know what you're looking for?
Right.
Wow.
Okay? Okay, good.
Yeah, okay.
I'm glad you're comfortable on my psychiatry couch right now, Peter.
I'm on a leather sectional right here.
Yeah. All right. Number 2. Never, 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 never be a shopper.
A shopper.
Don't be needy. Let sellers believe you have other irons in the fire and they need to meet your need, or come close to your terms. Or you'll walk away. It's better to miss a good deal than get stuck with a bad deal. So in the process, you have to decide, yes, I want this deal, and be tenacious on the process to get it, or walk away. Don't be a shopper where you're like throwing all these offers out and you're like, I don't know which one I'm going to do. Pick and choose the ones you want to do and put your full attention on it and go in and do the right job. Focus on that one deal while you're working on the deal. Don't be a shopper. Don't be, flitting around. You're too dispersed if you do that. You're not giving the seller your full attention. You understand? You're dispersed. You're thinking about other things. Do what you're doing while you're doing it. If I'm talking to you about your house, my phone's not on, which, by the way, Peter, I was going to talk to you this later, and I'm going to actually do something I don't like to do, and I'm sorry for doing this. I'm going to actually reprimand you right now. And I'm sorry.
What did I do?
And I didn't realize this until the other night on a coaching call when we were listening to the Subject 2 call that I recorded. When we were in that guy's house, your phone rang 3 times in the middle of our presentation.
Which one?
The condo that we were just talking about?
Yeah.
So from now on, I'm going to request you shut your phone off.
Oh.
Because I didn't realize it because I was in the room, but when I listened to the recording, it stopped the flow of our conversation because your phone rang 3 times. 3 times. And it's got that loud, and it stopped the flow.
I didn't know that. I'm glad you told me.
I didn't either until I listened to the recording with the coaching guys on Monday night.
Wow. Didn't know that. I shut my phone off for a lot of things, but I missed that entirely.
What happens is what should happen is the seller, and this is very profound, the seller should be thinking about what you're saying. You should be thinking about the deal and the numbers and the structure and what you're going to do for him. If you personally do something weird, they take their attention off of what they're thinking about and they look at you. Or if your phone rings, it takes them out of, quote unquote, that session.
Yeah.
And they're not thinking about what you broke that mental thought period and interrupted it with a noise or an abruption, that you abruptly did something. And they stopped, you broke the thinking process.
Sure.
You broke that mental flow.
Wow.
Right? So when you're there, don't be a shopper. Be right there. Let him know you're interested. Talk to him or her and be interested and do what you're doing while you're doing it.
Yeah.
And be in communication where you're talking back and forth about how this could happen. And you'll do much better. We all know that we like attention. Everybody likes attention. It is our innate ability as a human being to create effects to get attention. Agreed?
Except for a few people I know that run and hide and stick their head in the sand, but good luck to them.
Yeah, but listen to what you're saying. They run and hide and put their head in the sand. That's the effect that they're trying to create is to get attention for putting their head in the sand. They're looking for empathy.
Oh, could be.
Sympathy. They're still looking for attention. They just want it their way. They want sympathy. They want to be a victim,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Does this make sense, or am I way too profound?
No, that makes sense. I've been thinking during the podcast that, you talk about find a motivated seller, make the calls. When we both know that there's some people that do not like to communicate, whether they're shy or embarrassed.
Well, then you should hire somebody to do it then.
Yeah, because you know, there's very few jobs that you don't need to communicate. This is a job you need to communicate. So just fix that or hire someone.
Number 3, timing matters. My favorite. If you are first making offers, they think there's a better offer, something better beyond you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? If you wait too long and be last, you could lose a deal. So you want to be somewhere in the middle. You don't want to be first. You don't want to be last. You want to be somewhere in the middle. I've always said that we're for sale by owners, the best time is 45 to 60 days. That's the sweet spot.
Right.
Okay? So here's what I do know. I'm going to be rude. My dog, who's a thoroughbred, or my old dog, who's a thoroughbred, they're in heat at a certain time, right? So if I want to make money with that dog, I better know when it's in heat and do something about it.
Okay, we get the analogy.
Okay? Every other time doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So timing matters.
So, I think I had that backwards. I thought you wanted to be first or you wanted to be last.
Because I used to say that.
You did.
Yeah.
All right.
So what I used to say is if you want to make your offer, you want to make your offer first or last, because if you get in the middle, you end up in an auction.
Yeah.
But I realized that this way is better.
So you're going to be somewhere in the middle where they've heard some offers and they can compare yours to other ones. I see what you mean. All right.
Number 4, it's a numbers game. You'll always, listen to this, Peter, this is such a great sentence. You will always find quality of deals in the quantity of prospects. You will always find quality of deals in the quantity of prospects. That's why we pre-screen so much, looking for those prospects in a sea of suspects.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
Number 5, organize in systems. Here's the thing. In the beginning, you will be 100% coping. You'll be coping with all the crap, the learning, the education. You'll be coping. What you need to do is you need to do a little bit of organizing while you're coping.
Mm-hmm.
The magic is don't stay in the dangerous position that you're in of coping all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Organize and cope. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe in the beginning you work 8 hours and you have maybe 45 minutes of organizing things. Like, for example, you might work 8 hours a week. Make sure you spend about 45 minutes a week organizing your leads so you can find them and figure out how to follow up with them.
Right.
Maybe next week you spend 45 minutes on a follow-up system. Maybe next week you spend 45 minutes on how to organize your marketing materials.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So do a little bit of organization. Actually time block that. Time block it so you can do a little bit of organization, because otherwise you'll always be in cope. And by the way, a lot of people do this in a lot of other areas, in their businesses and stuff like that. They don't organize. And they will constantly be coping. And which, by the way, what does coping mean, Peter?
Well, that's when you're just dealing with so many problems. Like, instead of training people to do the job, you do it yourself, and you're just barely getting by, you're managing. But it's a lot of work, and you never get things set up to function better.
So to be clearer on what Peter just said, it's a difference between reacting and proacting. So reacting is you react to whatever comes your way and you just accept it. Where if you're proactive with the organization, you can start to get your life back and get more time and make more money, because you don't have all the noise.
Yeah. Is that also the phrase I've heard? Once in a while, you have to work on your business to get it set up, not always in the business.
Right.
Like
So-
the boss in the store is running around doing everything,
Right.
instead of teaching the staff how to do things and going back in the office.
Right. So a
it
great
belongs.
book on that is The E-Myth by Michael Gerber.
Okay.
A great book on that. Okay.
No.
So, so if you do 15 minutes in the beginning of organize, the next thing you're gonna do 30 minutes, and the next thing you're gonna do 45 minutes, and it'll keep, because the more you organize, the more time you'll have to organize, right? So you'll soon see how things get easier and more profitable. This is the only way to protect your time and money earned now and in the future, is to do a little bit of organize and get rid of the cope as much as possible. You're always going to have some cope, but you want to get the percentages so you're doing more, you have more organization than cope. Right?
Right.
Which is what I was saying earlier. Have faith in your systems. Have faith in what you're doing. So you're going to need to organize and cope in the offer when you're doing it. In the beginning, you're going to be coping. You're going to be listening to the seller, and you're going to be reacting to what the seller said, instead of having your scripts down. And because what is the definition of a script? It's organized. It's organized words before you say them, or organized words before you even have it happen.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how you handle it. So you're going to need to, every offer is cope and organize. It's not just your business, but every offer is just cope and organize. Right? So you're going to have to figure that out. So basically, before I go much further, and then we're going to end off here, if you don't make a deal, go down this list and say, did I compromise? Was I being a shopper? The biggest one is the timing wrong? Did I give the offer at the wrong time in the seller's life? Was I the first one and he thinks he can get another deal? If that's the case, then that's one that you put in your follow-up system, and you get them later when the time is right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Was it a numbers game? I'm awful glad that I got through that 25th phone call, because that means I've only got 5 more to go before I find a new lead. Before I find a new deal.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Or was I coping? In other words, was I controlling, or was I proactive in answering his questions, or was I just being flippant and not prepared to answer his questions correctly? See how it works? And you measure those up against what you did to make sure it was you or it wasn't you. And these 5 questions will make you realize that I did something wrong. I got to fix that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, for example, the timing was off. Oh, okay, no wonder why I didn't make the deal. It wasn't because I'm an amateur. It wasn't because I said blah, blah, blah. It stops you from introspecting, and it makes it spot on. So you're like, oh, well, I just talked to that guy, and they just put the house on the market like 3 days ago, and he has no idea what he's up against. Okay, good. I'll follow up with him in 2 weeks or a month. And you take it out of your head and you resolve it so it doesn't linger in the back of your mind and make you think that you're like bad, or you didn't do something good, or you're not trained, or you need to do more education. It automatically resolves what happened in that sales process, or in that process of talking to that offer process, and it allows you to release your mind of it and not keep attention on it. Mm-hmm. It's amazing.
Yeah,
it is truly
important.
Amazing.
Well, anytime you screw up or don't do well, if you don't figure out why, it's going to stick to you and just wreck it. Little bit by little, the engine slows down.
Right. So when I say this is the only way to protect your time and your money now, here's what I mean. It's kind of like our formula: money now, money monthly, money later. Okay? Yeah. It goes like this: time now, time monthly, time later. So if you're coping and organizing, it's time now, time monthly, time later, right? So right now, you might be worried about all the things you're doing, but you're not thinking about the monthly time. Like next month, instead of spending 40 hours, I could spend 30 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then in a year from now, I can spend 5 hours because that's time later. So when you're coping and organizing, that's what you're doing, is you're controlling time now, time monthly. So I'll put all my time in now. For the next 6 months, I'll put all my time in now. But that means later on, I'll spend less time per month. And as in 12 months, I'll spend even less time than that.
Right.
You're investing in your system and your processes and your organization. Okay? I don't talk about this much, but your time and your income has 3 major components.
What's that?
Active, passive, and net worth.
Well, I know that with income. I haven't heard it with time. That's true.
No. Yeah. Active, passive, and net worth.
So how's that work with time?
So how much time do you put in now?
Yeah.
How much time do you put in monthly? And how much time do you put in later?
Mm-hmm.
So think of it this way. Let me make it real simple for you, and then we're going to end off. Okay? Real simple. You have a seller, and you put a lot of time in the beginning to close the seller, to get the seller to say yes, and then close the deal, and then set the property up and find the buyer.
Mm-hmm.
That's all active now.
Right.
Then it becomes passive because all you're doing now. So now that might take you, we'll say, 25 hours or 30 hours. Once it's all done, now you're only going to spend an hour handling that property every month or 2 hours every month.
Yep.
And it's all in the net worth because now you only have to do an hour or 2 for that property. That means that as you go down the pipeline and you keep filling the pipeline up in your net worth, now you might have 5 of those you're doing passively.
Mm-hmm.
So the more you do, the more net worth you build because you have more time. Because if you set the deals up correctly and let them go, then you can start doing more and more deals, right? And you need to have less and less active income,
mm-hmm.
right? Because you have net worth, you have passive income coming in, you have net worth coming in. And then all of a sudden, year down the road, 2 years down the road, some seller comes to you and says, "Oh, I want to cash out," and you make 50 grand.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And as you keep filling that pipeline, you keep getting more and more net worth, and you have to have less and less active.
Makes sense.
Okay? And this is my last little analogy, and I really shouldn't do this now, but I'm going to. If these 3 things, active, passive, and net worth, were in a triangle, just like we talk about in other places, right?
Mm-hmm.
If one point of this triangle drops, the other 2 fall with it. If the active goes up, that means the passive and net worth will follow. If the net worth goes down, that means the active and passive will go with it.
Okay. I have to think about that a little bit.
So active is where you're trading hours for dollars.
Yeah.
Right? Passive is the assets paying you back, like a lease option.
Mm-hmm.
And net worth is the savings and free and clear assets that in your reserves.
Right.
Okay? So like Kiyosaki said in his book Cash Flow Quadrant, if you need $4,000 a month to live, right? And have assets producing $6,000 a month, and it only takes you, say, 5 hours a month to manage those assets, you're wealthy.
Mm.
Because what people think is they think to be wealthy, and Kiyosaki, I'm paraphrasing Kiyosaki, so this is not my stuff. I just read this from him, right? So if people think that you got to have to be a millionaire, that's the thing to do. I got to have a lot of money, a lot of cash to be free. No, yep. What you need is 8 or 10 houses that produce whatever dollar months per month, so that you can make $6,000 a month, which is and make sure you have a cushion so some people don't pay, you're not in stock, to be able to work, to be able to get your $4,000 a month.
In a cushion.
And it puts reserves in the bank. It builds equity. It does all those things, right? And you're wealthy. So if you only got to work 10 hours a month and collect your to pay your bills, then you're wealthy. You don't need $1 million in the bank. You don't need $5 million in the bank. You just need enough assets to be able to make that passive income to build your net worth. And most people could do this. You could do this in a year or 2.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to go stop, get out of your head, listen to some of the things we're telling you. We gave you a lot of information today. right? And just
Oh,
go
yeah.
do some of this stuff. Actually, stop thinking and just go do it and see what happens. Go test it and make me wrong. Tell me that my system doesn't work and send me a support ticket. I would love to hear that. The biggest thing that you have to do is you have to take a look at what you're doing, and you have to have faith in the system that we're talking about. And when it doesn't go wrong, you need to look at yourself and say, what did I do wrong? Or what did I do right? Because the definition of success is doing more right things than wrong. And you need to take a look at what are you doing right, what are you doing wrong. And if you follow the 5 laws of an offer, you can test yourself on what you're doing on each offer and improve. Bada bing, I'm done. So don't forget to go into your description of where you watch this, whether it's iTunes, whether it's iTunes or Stitcher or whatever platform. Make sure I didn't have any comments today. I don't know. Maybe it was not a good topic. I didn't have anybody even say hello to me today in the chat.
It's raining. It's raining. Bill.
Yeah, right. So make sure you go in the section of where you're watching this podcast, the description, go to the free stuff page, get all your goodies that you can use. All this stuff we're talking about is there. If you have any questions, go to Flipping Houses for Rookies, top right-hand corner, hit contact, and you'll send me a support ticket, and I will gladly help you. I'm not going to coach you for free, but I will point you to the right places so you can get what it is that you need to make your offer. And sometimes I will just give you some sentences or some things about what to do. Okay, so make sure you do that. And of course, subscribe to us and send us a review so we know how well you like us. Okay, with that said, we're over and out, Pete. Talk to you next week. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.